frame. I'm a bender. I'm not. Doesn't matter if I am. People are going to be slating me going, bloody hell, oh, you've done their day, put some batter on the wall. But that which physically has affected my day, but not mentally ruined my day. Right, good morning. It's Monday morning. Yeah, welcome back. If you're new, my name's Matt. This is the Joinery channel. This is a house that I've refurbed, and I'm basically going to come back a few years later to put this porch on, which is going to be an oak porch, which I dug out for last week, concrete. I'm just going to lay some bricks today. Spend all morning drilling for my ties, working out my bond. I wouldn't normally do this, but I might just do all my cuts. It's a bit dangerous, to be honest with you, but get all my cuts done, work everything out, and then just have like a couple of hours just laying them, really. I'll whack a picture up on the screen now, or possibly at the end, of what it's going to be when it's done. Right, then, speak to you in a bit. But you have two reasons. Number one, to complain. Basically every brick is just a different size. Look at some of the ends of them, and they're different bricks, so they're going to be different sizes. They're a little bit in height, about 10 mil in height, but it's the width, and then the depth as well. And I'm running out already. I've got a microphone, so I thought I'd try that out. See if the microphone's making an improvement on the video. But basically, that's where I'm at thus far. Got to point it all up. Looks like I've got really heavy beds in there actually, but I haven't. I'm grinding them down. And you can see I'm just starting to creep out. Yeah, it's about midday, but I've spent all that time getting all the bricks out and lining them up, getting them to dry out. Now the sun's out, they weren't that wet, they're drying now. Yeah, such a shame, because when they're a different size, it affects that as well, which means I can't do like an old English 9-inch wall or something, because the headers will be different widths, unless I use all the long ones for headers and then space the cavity out. But not a bricklayer either. I mean, bloody hell, it's only a little, isn't it? It's only a little job. We'll get it right. Hello, Sonny. Hello. Hello. Right, I was going to film me doing it, but it ain't really worth it. Hopefully this microphone's doing a good job though. Yeah, I'm just going to throw some ties in now as well, just to be tied back to the building. I haven't done that yet. Forgot I was going to put them on the third course, and I bloody forgot. Right, I'll pick you up in a little bit. There they are. The wandering piers. They're right. They don't look right, but they are right. But overall, the brickwork is like, the bricks are just bloody horrendous. Horrendously not flat. Yeah, so I'll have an image now on screen of what we're doing, because I will have that drawn. Yeah, look nice when it's done. Probably could have gone a brick higher, but they were just creeping out and out and out. I was just, yeah. So I'd rather make it up with timber than be too tight on the frame. Yeah, so I think we're going to be doing it in oak to match, but it won't be green oak because it's going to have glass in it. Yeah, it will look good. It will look good. Just got to get on that, really. Look nice when the oak in that song. I'm just a bit disheartened, really, because I kind of thought that was going to be easy. It hasn't been. But anyway, it's been horrible. Right, tomorrow, skirting boards. That'll be fun. Okay, good morning. It's Tuesday morning. I'm back on the scullery job right now, which is, I'll back the video up there. I think I said yesterday. So I'm back on this job. It's going to be great, actually, because I can get finished pictures and videos or whatever, or just even see it finished. It's something that, again, I've gone through last week. I struggled to get, because in this instance, we were waiting for a worktop and the tiles to happen, although I did prepare a lot of that work. Anyway, yeah, I'm back here. I won't go in now because the customer's not here, but when they're about, I'll ask if I can go in. What I'm doing here is they've had a lot of water ingress, mainly from this courtyard. You can see they've had it re-skimmed. Actually, that was sand and cemented and whatnot. Yeah, I've basically got the job of putting skirting boards on, which isn't much of a job, apart from the fact I've got to batten it to bring. So they've had a surveyor come in and give them a spec, and basically it's going to require some tannalised battens with some DPM behind them, and then basically building the framework and then boxing in the top. And all this wants skirting. It's a bit of an awkward area, actually. But the customer's not here at the moment, so I don't really know. She shouldn't be long. I think I'm just going to get the tools, and you can see I've got stuff here, so I don't know. I need to speak to him, but I think what I'm going to do, rather than this huge amount of waffle, is I'm going to assume I'm doing everything. I think I'm going to allow myself to be here for a few days, because the reason I got this job is because the guy that was doing it could no longer do it in the time frame. He's a good friend of mine, and we've worked together. I mean, he was sort of working with me for about a couple of years ago, and he's sort of priced it and told him how long it would take. Yeah, anyway, so if I allow myself to be here for 3 days, it seems a bit strong, but then I guess if I've got to do all the filling, I've got to box the top as well, I've got to close all that in. But anyway, I guess I'm not going to film me drilling skirting board to the wall or pinning it. I'll probably just do some tips on how I do things. We've got a bit of kerfing to do there, or whether or not I'll steam bend it, I don't know. I've got a little steam box I made for a job years ago. I don't know if it'll fit that skirting board in though. We've got damp and stuff here. They've rectified it on the outside, but we're always going to have a small element of it. I think that's actually the original foundation. So we suggested putting DPM on the back of battens, which is what I've done here, stapled that on. However, we've got curves to deal with as well. So if we look at this kerfing I've done here, and every bit is different. So this bit here that I've kerfed is a different kerf ratio to that, because this bit is for over here. So what I do is I write them down so I know what I'm doing. I'll be a little pencil mark there. Once I kerf, I slide over to the next one. I'm leaving about 4 or 5 mil on this one. That's so tight, I could only leave about sort of 3 mil on this bit on that one. Well, my biggest problem, if you imagine, on here, you'll never hammer drill through there and get that to the wall. We're doing this 50, by the way. This is all 50, then this will only be 25 away from the wall, and that's just because this is the dampest area and it's in the corner, so they want that a bit further away. You won't ever fix through there. So what I've done is I've relied on the fact that I've got a solid fixing on the straight bit there, a solid fixing on that straight bit, and a solid fixing here, and I'm using all that to glue and wedge and pin this curved bit to the wall on the DPM. And then I've infilled it with like a frame sealant, external frame sealant. I'm going to do this one slightly different, because I've worked out that what I could have done, and what I should have done really, I am learning on the job with this, is I should have really put a bead of frame sealant down the middle, stuck my DPM to it, then another bead of frame sealant, whacked that to the wall, glued and pinned as I've done, and then later on I could ooze some polyurethane PVA in the top slots, and it won't fall through because it will hit the sealant and it will just infill all those gaps. It'll make it solid. Don't get me wrong, that's in the corner of the room a little bit scared, but that's never coming off. But this one, it'd be a better job of it if I apply that process to this one on here. And then I've got this little batten here which is setting your height, because you want your skirting board to finish at a certain height, so then when you drop your lip in, your skirting board finishes flush with like your boxing in, your top lip. This is not set in stone, I've worked it out, but I'll tweak it using the little level from time to time to make sure I look right to the floor. I just don't want to be scribing in too much to the floor, because it doesn't always look that good. Sometimes it looks like the skirting board's running up a hill that isn't there. You know, the whole house is out of level, so you've got to be careful. And what we'll do is we'll hammer drill on the straight bit and get that to the wall, the batten, and then we'll wedge that in there with lots of glue around it, and then I'll tighten this screw up, and that will pull that batten back. It won't go all the way back, it just wants to go back about 2 mil to about there, and that will squeeze this glue and the DPM and all that together and hold in there. And then all that glue will be held onto there until this point here, which is where the straight starts, and I'll get a hammer drill fixed in, as I just said, along there. And then it's just a case of leaving that to go off, taking it with polyurethane, and then you've got a nice solid job really. The glue go off on that. I've then got a bit on the other side of the room to do, but if I'm being on, which I'll go through tomorrow, there's a detail. It's quite an interesting detail. If you're a carpenter or a joiner, you'll get this sometimes with stair detail with skirting board. So I'll be on that either tomorrow or when I come back. It'll be this week. People are going to be slating me going, bloody hell, is that what you've done today, putting some batten on the wall? But takes time, takes time. I think this is a good balance for speed and quality. yeah, for a skirting board basically, which will get covered up, but it will be solid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm doing a bad job. I'm just saying you've got to, at some point you've got to draw a line and just go, is only skirting board. But yeah, the most important thing is keeping the water off it, and that's what I'm aiming for. Right, I'll pick you up at the end of the day anyway. See where we get. That's wood. Walnut shells, horsehair, lime, more what I think is wood. I don't know. That's not saw, that's wood. That is wood. All the way right through there. Basically, I can get my hand in that wall. Not that I want it because I know what's in there, but that's how far I can keep going. What have we got here? Look. What's that? Glass now? Bloody hell. Better stop, hadn't I? Just found glass in the wall. What is going on? How can you fix that? How can you fix that? What do you do? You get very good fixing in there, am I? I need more than the brown plug for that. Okay, good morning. Wednesday morning. Just thought I'd show you quickly. I've just picked up the polyurethane PVA. Throwing that in there. So, and then what I do is I squeeze it in as it's going off. So it's sort of, then I know that the reality is this. You see there's some voids in places, but where that's coming out, where that's high, it wasn't there. It was pushed down. It was actually dripping down. If you look on the front, that's how much it would have dripped down inside these grooves. So by the time that goes off, even now, that's firm actually. And I've just, yeah, I'll probably give it 2 goes. Quite cool, doesn't it? Right, okay, that's taken all morning, believe it or not. So basically, we've got the same details as yesterday. DPM behind there, corrosion resistant fixings. Then I've had to double it up, turn about the other way. I need to get 73 mil. I need to get, and that's basically to clear some pipes. Now you'll notice that I've followed the line of the stairs rather than stepping the skirting round, and that's simply because I drew it on the wall, and the lady just, she didn't want that. Basically, she wanted it to try and be one straight run. Typically, what you'd have is a stringer there, but this isn't a conventional staircase. This is actually just planks of wood resting on some bricks. So I've actually, for that reason, not fixed to them, just because I'm worried that over time, well, these aren't very good anyway. Really, in my opinion, they want changing. I might mention it to them. At least this way, I mean, I haven't got time to do it on this visit, but at least this way, it can be done without the skirting board being damaged, because the skirting board will be a few mil up because we've got carpets. They should just be able to cut them out, take them out. I was toying with the idea, because there's more than one way to skin a cat with this, to just do a little return up there, and then go along here, then a little return, then up again into that corner. Sometimes I think that looks quite nice, but I think in this instance, I did a couple of sample cuts and showed the lady, and she was happy with this sort of bisect angle and this bisect angle, because if you can imagine what you have to do for the 2 pieces of skirting board to meet, and for the angles to meet, and for them to look the same as they meet, the the cut needs to be halved. So if that's like 30 degrees, they both need to be 15. You can't have one at 30 and the other one at like 90. They both need to be the equal amount. Otherwise, the profiles won't line through. So when we get to this corner, I'm going to go, that profile is going to look like it's longer, but then it tucks back into there at the same height. Now, the reason I've kept it close is because it's only 30 degrees. By the time you're walking up here and you look, you won't really notice that that's a different length of profile cut, because it won't really look like it. If I was over here, it might look, might just look too busy. You've got a great big long striking line, and then you've got a little bit tucked in the corner. The only downside is obviously we're then closer to this corner. I can't do anything about that. But yeah, let me know which way you'd do it. Would you insist on stepping the skirting? I mean, I can't insist, it's her house, but, or would you, rather than, I mean, obviously I could have replicated a stringer, but I didn't really offer that because I just thought it's quite a bulky bit of wood, isn't it? It wouldn't look like a stringer. It would look like I'd replicated the skirting board but not put the profile on. I've had to bring the skirting board a little bit higher, you'll see, and that's purely because if I'd have gone tighter and got my 170 in there, the profile of the skirting board would have been into the carpet line when the carpet tucks over. So there's lots of details to think about. But I guess really, yeah, would you have done a little bit along, then back in and up, or would you have gone for that? I don't know. But you'll see when it's too late for you to give me any advice, because by the time this comes out, I've done it. But you'll see when I come back. So I'm not going to get started on today. I'll show you what I'm doing today now. And I'm going to come back Friday, I think, and do the skirting board. I'll show you. Basically, I've just started doing the scribing. Yeah, so what I've done is the little legs that I use to set the height, I've kept those, and I just rest them on the floor, put my ply on, slide it over, keep scribing and scribing and scribing until I get close enough that I can run it in with a compass or a pencil, or and then you'll see I've got probably got like a millimetre gap around there. I think I'm going to leave it like that, and basically make sure there's no places where it's touching. It doesn't look like it is. That is about my 5th attempt getting it in. But yeah, basically, if I do that, then I know no water ingress is going to get to the edge of the board. And you'll see why. This is why I'm picking the camera up, really. It's so much easier to do this before the skirting board goes on. Because now what I can do is I can get a really small pencil and I can draw around the batten underneath. And I can either decide to jigsaw that to the batten. What I could do first, I suppose, is just mark underneath and then cut it further back with a track saw, so it's a bit easier to see. But basically, once I've drawn it from underneath, like scribe round the batten line, I'll either decide, do a jigsaw. That problem with jigsaw is you don't really get a straight line. So there's instances where I want it to look straight, there's instances where I don't. So I'll probably jigsaw the curve and then run that into a track saw line. The batten I did level and straighten, but there's a small possibility it's not 100%. So I'll just even that out with a track saw and put a bit of glue back on the batten when I fire the skirting board on, really. Good morning. It's Thursday morning. I'm back on this job. I'll spin you around ever so slowly. So, I don't know if you remember this job. If you did watch the videos where I made all this and fitted this, firstly, thank you very much. Secondly, you should know why I'm back here. If not, I'll just go through it. I've got to put this cornice / pelmet on. We didn't make that at the time, and that's purely because I wasn't really sure on what sort of style they wanted. We've settled for something quite sort of minimal and square. I need to properly fit this bath panel, which I couldn't do because there needs to be a floor piece going on, and I needed the floor down. Now, you notice the floor isn't down, but the subfloor is down. I need the shower in so I can fit the skirting boards. Again, the screen's not in, but again, I'll just have to fit the skirting board. We've got skirting board. I can fit this back to the wall because now we've got a finished floor. It's a frustrating one, really, at the moment. I seem to be getting this. So if you look back on, I don't know if it was last week's video, the week before, when I did some plastering in the bathroom, which was trying to bring the bathroom forward to fit a vanity unit, which 3 or 4 weeks before I'd made. Actually, the plumber sent me pictures, so I'll put that up. That's now all fully finished. So I went back there last week and did the panelling in the hope, in another room, in the hope that I could just jump on that and get the vanity unit in. Because, you know, in my trade, it's really frustrating to spend all your time and effort on something like this and to not be around at the finish. I've explained this in previous videos. Years ago, I used to do everything from literally, you know, and I've done that even last week, digging out, laying the bricks, painting, plastering, the lot. That's great when you've got the people, but when you haven't got the people, I just soon realised that I can't do that forever. You know, I'm going to hurt, aren't I? You know, my knees raking just from doing skirting board yesterday. So I'm trying to like minimise what I do and just pass on other jobs, and just focus more on the finer things. That's great when you get to finish things, but in this instance, where I'm working, like kitchens and bathrooms are a nightmare because you're often waiting for tiling, worktops, floors, etc. So we're going to jump on this. I'll just film the end result. Yeah, and yeah, then we're going to jump back on them skirting boards, which is probably going to be the title of this week's thumbnail, isn't it? Let's be honest. 3 days for some skirting boards or something like that. But, you know, let me know. Again, let me know what you think. Is that good going or not? That is not quite in the middle either. Me again. Nearly done. Just a little top tip. I'm just going to do a bit of filling. I've got all these nail holes from when I pass loaded. I'm not actually down to decorate, but I just thought I'll bring it forward, put a little bit in. So yeah, this is what you do. This is your 2-part. Rather than mixing a big load up, just give yourself 3 little bits to go at, and I'll mix this one up first, and I'll start using that, and then when that runs out, I'll mix this one up. Yeah, and then you can mix them quite a bit stronger because you want them to go off really, really quick. You don't want it so strong that it's brittle, it goes off as you're mixing it. But if you mix a big load up, it's hard to get the balance right, really. Yeah, top tip. Right, we're all done. This is it. So we've got the cornice piece on the top. I've actually sanded and filled and sanded. I always get it the wrong way around. Sanded and filled. Filled and sanded. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Filled and sanded all of that. Just for the decorator, really. Just gives them a head start, doesn't it? You think when you got the festival stuff and that, you can do it. Fitted this. So basically, you got just done a scoop out there for him. And then I haven't really seen this vanity unit. Like, oh, I've got to put the shelf in. Yeah, I haven't really shown much of this off, but this is that detail I was talking about the other week when I was making it. So I would love to have come back here and shown you it with a floor. It's going to have a dark floor. I've just left it up so you can tuck the card in, and fitted the bath panel, put that bottom trim on, and actually fit these on these Kiko fittings. Kiko, I don't know what they're called. Right, skirts are on. That was fun because I didn't have the mitre saw, but I don't really need it. They're just all square. There's only one mitre. Yeah, put a little infill there for the shower valve. All that's left really is magnet strong on that. Is handles, decoration, and obviously all the plumbing. Yeah, frustrating. Another one. It's just not gonna. You're not going to see it, are you, in this? You're not going to see no finish on this one. But you can sort of imagine now, you know, it will look good. Yeah. Bummer. Right, back onto them skirting boards, really. It's a lovely day as well, but I've got to do it. Especially, she's probably watching this. I've got to do it. Right, yeah. Let's go. Right, good morning. It's Friday morning. So I did come in back yesterday after I finished that bathroom off. Not finished it, but yeah, I did all these scribes, finished off all the scribes into the wall, kept it 1 millimetre away from the wall all the way down, made sure it's not touching anywhere, done all the way around here. I mentioned to the customer about getting some Zinc and pre-priming the skirts. They've done that. Unfortunately, they've put them in the room this morning. I'm going to struggle. I've got to try and get them out. I can't even fit the nail gun in between the wall. I'm so tight for space. I can't get to the mitre saw either, but anyway, and also they've added a little bit of we spoke about all this. There was just extension leads everywhere. This house has been adapted so many times over the years. I think it's like an electrician's nightmare. What I've agreed to do with me, if I don't want I'm not, you know, getting an electrician in or signing this off at all. What I'm doing is I've put some 2.5mm cable in the wall, run it down to skirting board, it's gone behind the boxing, and it's come into that socket. I'm not connecting it. really that wants a few spare. As far as I'm aware, that's within zones because there's a socket there. I've come plumb down the 150 from the floor. I don't know. Yeah, it's there for them to then get an electrician themselves. Because I just think if they got an electrician afterwards, it you know, you'd have to take my skirting board off, wouldn't you? So, and I've also put the TV aerial cable in, run that back round there, back over to that box there. It was just an afterthought, really. It's one of those things where that can really upset my day. You know, it's probably been an hour and a half actually by the time I've chopped it all in. But it's only really upset my day physically, hasn't it? It's only really occupied a Friday, more time that I didn't really want to lose. Mentally, I've just got to get over that. Otherwise, I'll just ruin my day. I don't want a lesson like that ruin my day. So I'm going to jump on it now. I'm going to drag these skirting boards out, which physically has affected my day, but not mentally ruined my day. And I guess I'm going to start. So golden rule of thumb is with skirting boards. How I was taught, smash your longest lengths on first. As a rule, you know, there are instances like this instance where we don't do that. Now, the reason for that is you're going to be left with cuts anyway. So you want to really be using the longer lengths, and then you've got this length of, you've got these boards left over that are shorter that you can then utilize for cuts as you go. You might see a bit and go, well, that's 20 mil over that board there, so I'll throw that in that corner and it'll go there, and you're not getting any wastage. But I've really got to mess around with these kerfs. So job number one is cut that one a little bit oversized, kerf it, cut this one oversized, kerf it. Just give it a little flex, just mess around with it. I probably should have done it before now. This will be famous last words when I've been really relaxed about doing this. I know I've taken my time, but the reality is this: if those skirting boards, and they're crap as well, they're like already nearly split. They're solid part. I wish they'd have just got the ones made. In all the other rooms, I've had ones made, but these are just, don't even know where they're from. They're like lowest to the low. The more I look at them, I just think, you know, it's more knots than there is wood. And I've got to try and kerf it. So I've got to try and pick some. I've got one spare length. I spoke to him yesterday and just said, get an extra length because I'm now going to cut what I think are some good bits and I'm going to kerf them. And to be honest with you, the way I look at it is I don't even care if they're an out skirting board. I'm getting these curves done. I've got to pick the best bits. I can't risk putting a crap bit on a curve. Right. I'll update you when I get going on something. Probably update you when I do that stair bit. Might show you the curves. Who knows? Right. This is actually the length of skirting board I required, just for that tiny bit there, and so I've measured it wrong. Doesn't look right, but anyway. I've done some samples. Now, the lady's not bothered what profile we have. I soon worked out that there's no chance you could have the OG. Because if I was to cut that the other way around, all my cut, if you imagine if I flipped that, all the cuts would come through and you'd have no profile left. As it stands, that's how much profile we're going to be left with, because I was sort of naively hoping that I could just kerf, that I've done this before but on slightly lesser curves, where you basically run the track saw in there, take this off as a separate piece, kerf this as a piece of flat, almost similar to what I've done that, and then bend the trim back on. It just won't. It's too bulky. Even the OG, I don't think would do it. I think it would just snap round that. So I've got to kerf it and decorate it back in. I've worked my way up, so that I'm not taking too much profile out with that one, and there's just no flexibility in it. The only thing I could possibly do now is try and take I'm going to do one more thing, and that's on this main bit, go deeper on this bit, the bottom bit, so that, because that's the bit that needs to flex. This one where I've gone just that smidgen deeper, about 3 mil, 2 mil deeper, the bend is lovely, but that breaks out so easy. So I'm going to have to be really careful of that when I decorate, because you need to keep these intact. So I've got something to fill to and then strike off. And they're just fragile until the filler goes off. You can see that's actually staying bent. Admittedly, this bit has got a great big knot in it, which isn't helping. But yeah, that's actually just holding, which is lovely. So I'm going to mess around with it once more. But these are the sort of things you got to do, really. Spend half an hour rather than committing to cutting a bit and then, you know, and then it not working or it snapping. Just keep trying on samples. Yeah, and that's why we're doing these bits first and not the long lengths. Right, okay. I think I'm there, but yeah, basically, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to decorate it out, which is a bit of a ball ache. But I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I thought I'd be able to bend that, like cut that off and bend it as a quadrant. Yeah, silly really. But anyway, I'm gonna jump on that now. Hopefully that won't take too long. Now I've done all that prep. Real world carpentry. This is happening to me. That's good, doesn't it? Can't get it through. Basically, the skirting boards are in that bad a condition. They're all cut. I'm subject to using that profile, so they're all cut the wrong bloody way. They're all terrible. And that, believe it or not, that's how much that is cut. So that I was probably, however deep you think I am there, look, giving 2mm is coming through the face of the board. And I need that 2mm for where I've circled on the back because it's slightly tighter. Because obviously it's not this curve is it's not like it's not based on a circle. It's just based on whoever built it, what they felt like doing at the time. So what I've done is I've done another one. I'll be honest, this is my third one actually because I broke another one. Yeah, and then with this one, if it fits out that window and it doesn't work, I'm going to launch out the window. I've had to do a slightly deeper cut here just to get it to go around that bit. What I'm doing is I'm leaving that for now. I've soaked it and I've bended it. I've bended it. I'm a bender. I'm not. Doesn't matter if I am. But basically, I've got it near where I need it to be. I suppose you want a video on how you do your internal scribes, don't you? I'm not going to give you one. I'm going to tell you though. So basically, everyone knows this, but you don't do miters on internal. MDF not a problem because it won't shrink across the grain because it's stable obviously, but real wood you can't do an internal mitre. So you basically do your mitre and then I use the jigsaw and I cut from the back along there, round there, a little bit of an angle, and then when I'm done I've just got like a load of wood files, all different sizes that I shove in there just to get it looking right. And like I say, just take a bit off the back. Don't go mad though, because you do want it to touch. You don't want to see some people taking 45 degrees off the back. Well, you do need that to sort of, ideally you want to smash it into where it's going. So that one's going into that corner. So you want to drop it on, smash it in with loads of glue down the back, almost sort of bruise the timber and get it in. Anyway, these turned out crap. Oh, here we go. I might as well show you before I fill them. The absolute mess that they are. Bits just snapping off everywhere. Big bits snapped off in the corner there. Christ knows what I'm going to do with that. And my biggest problem is the skirting boards are crap. It's getting off cut. Yeah, there's one. There you are. Look at that. That's what you're dealing with. Just the bend on it. As soon as you cut it, it just springs open as well. I'm not very happy about this, if I'm honest. They're all the same. Some of them just got great big splits going down the middle as well. They're all split out. Look at that. I'm trying to eliminate what I can, but frustrating thing is all the other skirting boards in the rest house have been supplied. They've all been machined purposely for them because it's listed. And they're beautiful, and then they've gone and bought this crap. I should have said really. Well, as soon as I saw it, I thought, I don't look very good. When it was on the bench being painted, I was like, this ain't good. But anyway, I'm like 1 o'clock, and I've only just done that. Now, don't get me wrong, it's taken me about 3 hours to do that, and I've literally smashed those little bits on in about 15 minutes, and I'm just cutting this one now. 5 minutes time, that'll be on. And then I'm going to jump over here, get on this. There's a lot more here, but let's be honest, one full length scribing to the wall, and I'm nearly done it, haven't I? Now I've just got a bit of awkwardness up the stairs. But what I have got to do is I've got to let this glue go off, and I've got to put some 2-pack in these kerfs. At least one bit, early on, and then at the end of the day, I can always mix it stronger, mix it go on top, sand it back, la-di-da-di-da, and I've got to throw something in there. I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm going to finish it, because otherwise It's just embarrassing. I've said, don't worry about that. They've got a handyman that will do that as long as I cut the skirt and leave it. But I'm not being defeated, not on a Friday. Right then, speak to you in a bit. This is where I'm at. I've had to turn into a full-on workshop. I've had the domino out. You know, I've had to like join these two bits of skirting board together to get over this, sliding it in there, you know, for the riser, but for the stringer, can't even talk. All the skirting board is like, oh, it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Like, it just breaks when you cut it. It's all split. Here's a bit that I thought I was going to be using, but all the way along it, it's got a great big split all the way through it. It literally is just like a banana as well. It's all twisted. You know, like it's kicking. Look, it's kicking that way, that end, and this way it's kicking that way. It's kicking up there, look, like that. You follow it along, and at some point it starts kicking that way. You're trying to get these straight to the walls. Luckily, the battens are straight, but it's just when you even holding them in the saw, they're the worst skirting boards I've ever come across. Maybe I'm just spoiled because I do so much, you know, either, you know, like machining it yourself, or maybe MDF on site for someone. But yeah, man, I've forgotten what this was like. It's terrible. It's awful. The knots in it. Good. It's doubled the amount of time this has taken me, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's not, and I've not got the quality I want either. I've got to sand these down back now, but I ain't got time to let the glue go off. The domino clamped and I screwed them from underneath, just in the corners. I ain't got time now to let that sit on the bench. I've just got to fit it. And what I have done, because they're so twisted, I've actually dominoed the end for the miters. While I have the domino out, just fucking do it. Like, mitre mate ain't going to hold this. You shouldn't really use mitre mate. I don't think on real wood anyway. But yeah, mitre mate ain't going to work on this. No way. Right. I will get a finished shot of this, but at the moment, fucking yeah. Anyway, okay, I'm done. That's been a long day. It hasn't gone as well as I wanted either. Now, whether or not that's my expectations, but yeah, let me know if you think. I mean, this has been 3.5 days actually, but yeah, obviously you lose a lot of time starting the job chatting. But if you said 3.5 days, just worst case scenario, and that's to get these skirting boards on here around this bend. And then this, obviously that isn't hard. Oh, and I filled that bit of wool, threw some bricks and that in there with some sand and cement, whatever purpose, I'm not sure, but I've done it. Put some waterproofer in it as well. Done this, up the stairs. Oh, and I threw a bit of sand and cement in there as well because that's some left over. So that's the detail around the stairs. You see what I mean? It is a bit tight there, like the cuts. It does look a bit messy when it gets to the top, and it is slightly kicking out. But again, I don't want to make any excuses. I had them battens absolutely bob on for level. And if anything, I've come away at the top a little bit. That's why I've put an extra bit of filler in there. What's happened is, I'll put a picture up on the screen. In particular, that bit, I left that till the end because I did all this. And that bit of skirting board was just so twisted. In the end, I cut it. I made one there, and it was no good. It was too bowed. So then I haven't got any offcuts. Then I basically cut these triangles and dominoed them back in. But I cut them well over what they needed to be, just to try and bring it back round. I mean, I nearly had to cut them back in at an angle on the end grain when I dominoed them to sort of like bend it, because the skirting was just curling out. I mean, it's nothing really, is it? It's like, you mean, you can't, it's probably about 2 mil over, that's about 300. It's not a lot, but, and then here, I've cocked up here, this joint. What I should have done with that joint, I've had to fudge some cork in there. Not very happy with it. That really wants filling again, but yeah, I've just run out of bloody 2-part filler. What I've done with this joint is I probably should have mitered it rather than try to cope it. There was no way I was going to cope this because it's bloody, it's all kerfed. So the cope it had fallen apart. So I coped that one, which was coped into there and coped into there, and it's such a crazy angle. I probably should have mitered it. Yeah, it just wants another bit of sanding and decoration, really. I've put plenty of filler in, but I'll just message the lady and just say that needs another. The decorator's going to have to go over it and fit it because it will shrink anyway. But everything is glued to the top. It's solid, so that any movement is just the timber. I can't really help that. I'm just a bit disheartened actually because I really wanted that to go really well. This looks bad, but that's smooth. Feels it's like not a, you know, it's just where I've obviously sanded it, and you can see the difference in colour where I've sanded back to wood and put this natural filler in. But yeah, this curve's turned out all right. There's one bit just there where it's not quite so, it's a bit sharp. Yeah, I think I probably was expecting too much curve in that. I mean, the chap that was going to do it was talking about mitering it around there, but I don't know. I just wouldn't have thought it'd been that hard to curve. But it don't help when the bloody, I showed you, didn't I? When the bloody skirting board, when you're cutting it and you end up cutting through the bloody front because it's that bowed, it's that cut. And when you cut it, it bloody, your bit blade comes through the front. And if you look, I've got quite a lot left on that. It's still come through. Unbelievable. Right. Oh, I'm going to show you a little treat for you. Right, anyone knows where I am? If you've been watching my videos, this was a scullery project I did. It's in the same house I'm doing the skirting boards on at the moment. The lady was like, oh yeah, you know, you need to get finished shots, but it's a mess. These rooms are always a mess. You know, she's got guest houses, lots of kids. The reality is they're always going to have stuff out. But yeah, it's looking nice. Looks good. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, I've got the drying room here. That's like a little drying store. I'm not sure if I filmed that when I finished that, because that was like a last day jobby. And then we put these bifolding doors on. Did that paneling as a bit of an extra as well. Hide that wall. Got this oak chest down here with these dummy drawer fronts, and there's a secret drawer down there as well. But I can't open any of the drawers. Wouldn't be fair with it. You don't know what's in them. Yeah. So if you watch these videos, massive thank you, massive. Really appreciate people taking the time to watch them. I'm sorry that I didn't do a lot of filming of me making it. Finish still looks good though. The woodwork still looks good. Still see the grain and that coming through. Yeah, looks nice. Yeah, yeah, no movement either. Happy. Always happy. Always a bit of a worry when you walk back into a room. Right, but yeah, anyway, sorry. Big shout out to anyone that watched. Massive thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for all the continued support that I've been getting. It's been brilliant. I've had lots of private messages. I do wish people would comment more on YouTube rather than private messaging me, but because I think it pushes the videos out more. I'm not, it's hit and miss at the moment, but you know, I just take that on the chin. That means I've got to do better, doesn't it? Yeah, sorry again, it's not another finish. That is just unfortunately it. That's real world sort of, you know, working, I guess, isn't it? You don't finish something every week. Right, see you next week.